Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Bob and Hassaan show. So this is our show, and we had a wonderful episode, the first episode where we discussed how to recession-proof your business. And I'm back here again, and we'll discuss some wonderful things today. And over to Bob to say hello. Hi, Bob.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you again today.
Okay, wow, wonderful. So today is an extension of the previous session, the first episode. We discussed some strategies, some wisdom that people can use to keep their businesses intact and keep growing. And today we will discuss more. And the first thing first today we'll discuss is that is I will go over to Bob for that, and then I'll give my comments on that. So let's start with Bob. So Bob, what is the first thing we are talking about today?
Well, the first thing that I think we should talk about today is about making some self-sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
People in your business watch what you do, and there are really no secrets. If you're not personally taking a salary reduction or making some sacrifice, your accountants will know, maybe your human resource people might know, but there's no secret. And it's very good leadership to participate with the pain. If you don't, others won't either. They emulate your behavior. Hassaan, I'm sure you can comment on that as well.
Yeah. So, Bob, the thing is, I 100% agree with you. If you have a team, you should start with self-sacrifice. You lead from the front. If you have to cut off salary, you have to cut off payment, you start with yourself. And when you cut off your payment and you lead by example, it is not hidden. It cannot remain hidden, because at least your accountants know, your accounts team, they know that this is the reality. This is not just that boss is making it up to get the sympathy of his employees or to become a hero or to play a hero here. He really has done it. And employees, they discuss that with each other. They discuss these things with each other, and they all will find out. So it doesn't remain hidden, and people will respect you for that. You earn respect. And what happens when you earn respect? When you earn respect, your employees know this. They will develop the bond with you, and they will fight. They will fight like soldiers for your business. They will say, oh, look at my boss, he's so sincere. When he cut off our salary, he cut off his salary first. So he is the guy who thinks that we are something. He values us. So we will fight like soldiers for him, for his integrity, for his company, for his sales, for his company's reputation. We will do whatever we can. So they stand by you.
There's a term for this that's sometimes used. It's called alignment. And in business, it means getting your people to see your perspective and align on the same objectives in the business. If you're asking for cost reduction and improvements in your business, but not doing that for yourself, you're not going to be in alignment.
Yeah.
So the business term for this is called alignment and aligning your teams.
Yeah. And this per se, I would say, does not apply to a businessman who has just started his business and he is the only person. He is running a home business and he and his spouse are the only business people. So that does not apply to you, this principle. But when you grow, and we hope you grow, we pray that you grow. When you grow, remember this principle. The self-sacrifice will be a wonderful asset you have, and it will be your integrity. People will respect you, people will love you for that, and they will stand by you, and they will do whatever you want. So if you are just newly started business, then how can you practice self sacrifice? You cannot do anything, but you just learn at least that this is the thing that you may need in the future. What do you think about that, Bob?
Uh, 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 yes, because alignment, it happens on, it's more than just a one-time thing. It can become part of the culture of your business. Um, it's never good leadership to say one thing and do another. Having your team working with you multiplies your effectiveness. Uh, it's a 1+1 equals 3 kind of formula. You're far better off having your
Yeah.
team working with you than trying to survive this by yourself.
Absolutely. And Bob, I would add one point here that's very important, especially for those entrepreneurs who have just started their business, who are just self-employed, and they're trying to convert this self-employment into a small business. So this is very important. How do you practice self-sacrifice? You learn the self-control. You learn self-control. Don't steal money from your business account. If the expenses are tough, don't steal money. And this practice, this habit will take you a long way when you will grow as a company. And now you are in a situation where you have to cut off salaries. You cut off your salary, and you have learned the self-discipline and the self-control of not using the company money. What do you have to say about this, Bob? This is a very delicate issue.
Well, if you're doing that, I think that you may not be honest with yourself, but you've given up.
Exactly.
You've decided that your business can't survive, and so you're going to save what you can, and you're not really trying to save the business when you do that. Doing that, you're trying to exit and make your own personal exit better than anyone else's. So don't kid yourself. You're not saving the business by that kind of behavior.
Oh yeah, I have personally witnessed that. So many close colleagues, friends running businesses, and I would say that many of them actually, they were at different times taking money out of the business account and using it for their leisure activities. They were using it for vacations. They were using it for distributing gifts and all to their relatives and all, throwing parties. And eventually what happens? They are broke. I have personally witnessed these businessmen being broke, and they totally had to start all over again. And guess what? When they start the new business again, they do the same thing again, and they get broke again.
Past behavior predicts future behavior.
Yeah. So for a new businessman, if you have no employees, you are the only one right now. Just learn the self-control, the self-sacrifice, self-discipline of not touching the business money no matter what happens. And it can put you in problems in tax returns with IRS, I'm telling you. When you cannot justify where did his money go. I heard a story that a businessman, he could not justify $50,000 that were missing from his business account. He could not justify where did it go. He didn't have receipts. He didn't have nothing. So the only thing anyone can think of is that 50,000 has been used for personal use.
Yes.
So not only it will teach you the discipline, it will keep you safe when you file your tax returns. So that's the thing. Now, Bob, what is the next thing you want to discuss here?
Well, if you have folks in alignment with you, then it would follow that the next thing you can do, and a very good practice, is to manage your business with a sense of urgency, and ask for commitments from your team, perhaps on a weekly basis. And I would suggest that you to solicit commitment, you want to ask them if they can get this done by next Monday or by next Thursday or whatever your deadline is, and but also be aggressive in setting a short deadline. When you're managing in a crisis, small frequent changes add up in a hurry.
Yes.
And it's important to to meet every week to review what was accomplished, what was not, what were barriers, and but but managing a rapid cycle.
Yeah.
Not, and you know how what your pace or the pace of work was in your business before.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're in a crisis. That pace has to increase.
So, in terms of the deadlines, what exactly are you focusing on here, Bob? Are you talking about the deadlines in terms of the production, or deadlines in terms of a goal, of a monetary goal, a financial goal? What exactly are you
It
mainly
might be
focusing?
it could be all of those. Perhaps you need to talk to a customer and you want to have a meeting set up. Uh, can I do that later this week? Can you be sure you get that meeting set up? You need to talk to a supplier. That's not performing well. How fast can we do that? Perhaps you need some kind of financial calculation from an accountant or whatever. Can you get that to me in a couple days? It's not, can you get it to me next week or next month or next, but think faster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And here I would agree with you, Bob. That's very important to set deadlines and numbers. Business is the game of numbers.
Right.
You need to count, you need to set some numbers to measure your progress.
Well, also complexity doesn't work here. It needs to be simple things that can be accomplished. You can't describe a big complex project and say, oh, can you have that done by next Monday? That isn't going to work. You have to know reasonably that what you're asking for is achievable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, I know somebody, a very good friend of mine. His company gave him an unbelievably huge task that was not achievable with the deadline, by the deadline they gave him. So he literally he resigned.
Yeah. Yep.
He said, I cannot do it. I'll find another job. I cannot do it. So that's very true, Bob, that some companies do overload their employees.
Yes.
And what does it do? What happens is that um, people people will not respect you, and they will probably hold grudges.
So that's why I said at the beginning of this, small, frequent gains.
Small, frequent gains. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the employees to think that they are being taken advantage of.
Right. Right. Or that you've asked them to do something that's impossible to do.
Yeah.
That's very demoralizing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And if let's say the company is in crisis, like so many companies are, and the responsibilities have been increased because of the layoffs. Now, let's say 30% of the employees are laid off, and now you have 70% of the workforce. So of course, everyone's workload is gonna go up. So under these circumstances, Bob, under these circumstances, when you are increasing workload of every employee because of some employees have been laid off, how do you motivate them when you yourself are cutting off their salaries? What would you say? Because I sometimes really think that this is a huge problem.
Well, this sort of goes back to the alignment issue, right? And we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but it also speaks to your the way you do layoffs, the way you decide layoffs is important.
Yeah, I think that is our topic today. The last thing that we are going to discuss. So
Right.
let's leave this one to when we come to that point. So I understand what you are saying, that this comes to that situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the thing is that the proper planning is the main thing, that when you are in this kind of situation, you properly plan, and we will come back to it in the end. We'll discuss that. And now what is the next point, Bob?
Next point is, now we just talked about small frequent tasks and small frequent progress. But I would also push the envelope just a little bit about what you ask for. Last week we talked about what you can ask for from your suppliers and maybe your landlord and others. But today let's talk about what you can ask from your employees. And now, clearly giving them an impossible task is not good. But if you think something might take a week, maybe you should ask if they could do it in 3 days. You're not going to get what you don't ask for. And so I think it's possible to be a little more aggressive with your deadlines and or what you think maybe even people are capable to do. I remember back in 2008, we had a facility. It was a small facility. There were 11 employees, and we first had a layoff, and maybe we went to 6. I don't remember the number exactly, but then we got to 5, then to 4, and I was getting a little bit nervous. I wonder if I could take this to 3 people, and somebody resigned and left, and I decided not to do anything just to see what would happen. And it turned out the people there were in alignment with us. They understood. They redistributed the work amongst themselves, and we ran the facility with 3 people. Now, personally, I was not quite sure that that was possible, but the people proved it to me, and it only reinforced my belief that sometimes you can ask for things that maybe on the edge of your thinking.
Yeah. So, and Bob, I believe asking is a two-way street. Asking is a two-way street. What does that mean? That when you are asking something from your employees, be ready that they will ask something, and be ready to accept that. Like, for example, if you're asking them to go an extra mile and do something, that task that probably was not theirs. Now that's come to again the layoff thing. But the thing is, now what if the employee says that I will do that, but for that it is over tiring and I need 2 weeks of work from home.
Work from home. Yeah, you know, you have to have faith in people in these times. So I think it's important to believe what they say and trust them. And you know, there's a saying: "What if those who do not trust cannot be trusted." Yeah. Right? If you don't trust your employees, then they can't trust you.
Yeah. Actually, I saw a show. I think that was Dave Ramsey show. I don't exactly remember, but it was one of the shows where a caller called and he asked the host that my employer does not allow me to work from home under these circumstances of coronavirus, and the workload is increasing. What do I do? So it was the situation. So what I realized was that there are some employers who are still doing this, and this is not good, because I can bet on that the moment this guy gets another opportunity, he will leave.
Yes.
So it's like, you know, it's like it's a famous saying: I scratch your back, you scratch my back.
Well, there's another one like this. People join their company, they leave their boss.
Oh yeah.
And if so the reasons for people joining a business and the reasons for people leaving, those are 2 different things. And if their boss doesn't treat them right or treats them unfairly, that's the number 1 reason people leave a job.
Yeah. Now the thing is that if your boss has given you the liberty to work from home, you don't take advantage of that. You make sure that, okay, I will do whatever he says next time, I'll make sure that it's a win-win for both.
Yeah, think of it as a privilege. Yes.
Yeah. And regarding this asking, um, does this asking apply to other businesses? Like when you call another businessman and you shake hands as partners, can this asking be applied to that under today's circumstances, Bob?
Yes. Well, just like an employee, right? And trusting both ways. You have to. It has to be a win-win for both of you.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe when you talk to your landlord, maybe they are in a position that they'll lose the building if they don't get their revenue, and maybe you need to come. Maybe the win-win is a deferral of rent rather than just conceding that you don't have to pay. You have to look for win-win situations with everyone.
Yeah. So now, what is the next point that we are touching today? That's the.
Well, the next one is I want to talk about new opportunities in the business. I've seen it in the past where I've worked with business people who said, well, this can't be done, or we can't get that customer, or we can't participate in this part of the industry. And they have a mindset that something can't be done. Well, in a crisis, in times like these, what previously might have seemed impossible is now possible. And so this is a really good time to think out of the box. And what else could I do with my assets? What else could I do with my team? What could I do with my facilities? You have an investment in the business. Is there something else you could do with it? And in 2008, I did this. We began to represent other people's products in our product line. I had a boss who said that was not possible. I said, well, a phone call is pretty free. So I started calling a few people, and turned out that it was possible. And ultimately, that particular effort ended up being 20-25% of revenue for the business.
Yeah. And Bob, I am a firm believer of this philosophy, and I have always discussed that every new person you meet is an opportunity.
Yes.
So I would like to add this point here to all the businessmen, regardless of the company size. Every new person you meet is an opportunity. So this is the time to make more relationships. Make more relationships. You never know. Like, for example, if you are paying something extra to a company that you have given a certain task, if you make more relationship, you may find out that other company probably was exploiting you and they were charging you more. And you find a better alternative, or you find a better business partner. If you don't spend time making relationships, if you are just because of you are literally quarantined with this coronavirus and you are literally not meeting with anyone, you are just damaging your business. You need to understand this, that every person you meet is a new opportunity.
You also need to see yourself as I'll call it being a citizen in your industry. You're not alone. There are other people that do what you do, that are competitors, or maybe not a direct competitor, but live in a parallel universe. that maybe you serve one niche, they serve another, but you have the same products. You don't know in times like this who is going to stay in business and who is not. And if you have a competitor in your industry that does not survive and you do, that competitor's customers is going to be looking for a new source of supply. And your awareness of that and your willingness to be opportunistic here can be very important.
Yeah. And Bob, it reminds me of a story, the KFC story. The founder of KFC, he had an idea that I'll make chicken. I make good chicken, and I will shake hands. I'll find an opportunity by making relationships. And he goes to a restaurant and offers them that I'll use your kitchen, and I'll make my wonderful fried chicken, and we will share profit. That's the story I read, and it's a very powerful story. And he got rejected. So he said, okay. He goes to another restaurant. He gets rejected. He goes to another restaurant, and he keeps getting rejection after rejection. And he got like 1,009 rejections, I guess, or 1,011. I don't exactly remember the figure, but it was 1,000 plus. He got rejections after rejections until somebody said yes to him, and that's how he started his partnership with this restaurant, and that's how the KFC was born.
Yeah.
So in terms of making relationships and finding opportunities, you got to be patient.
Yes, yes, yes. That your restaurant story reminds me. These days, restaurants. Isn't it interesting though that some restaurants have adapted to the carryout model and or the delivery model and are doing very, very well, and there are others who weren't prepared, or maybe they're not believing that business model will work, and they're simply not going to survive. and we talked last time about how recessions accelerate things. Here you go. This is carry out and home delivery. That was a business growing slowly, and suddenly that has taken a rapid upturn. And for the business people who see that as an opportunity, and they're going to do well. If you see it as, well, I'm not ready, it's not for me, I don't know how to do it, you can self-defeat yourself easily.
Oh yeah, yeah. And Bob, while finding opportunity, be willing to get rejections, and be willing to take disappointments. This is a harsh reality that new businessmen, they don't understand this. Many new entrepreneurs, they don't understand the number of rejections, the number of disappointments they face. I can tell you, I have faced thousands and thousands of rejections and disappointments, and I'm sure, Bob, that's the same story with you, because success cannot be made without disappointments and rejections.
Well, in baseball, if you strike out 7 times and you get a hit 3 times, you're considered a star.
Yeah, exactly. So consider your business as a baseball game that you are batting, and you just need 1 home run to be the hero of the game.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, exactly. So now this is about opportunities, and Bob, anything else you would like to add into this opportunity part?
No, I think we should talk about layoffs a little bit, because
That's a very important topic, and I'm very patiently waiting for this topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, most businesses employ people, and it's a big expense. It's in the accounting terms, it's probably considered a variable expense, right? But there's an art to laying people off. First of all, what I would recommend is that you have an understanding of which people are flexible and can do a lot of things in your business, and which people can only do a single task. Sometimes in a recession, you don't really know where the bottom is, and you may have to do more than 1 layoff. but the people you want to preserve in the business are the ones that are capable to do a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're flexible and capable in a broad way, you can consolidate jobs and tasks, and you can get far more creative with multi-skilled people than you can with single-skilled people.
Yeah.
And so it's not about, I'm not a proponent of looking at this through the lens of seniority or gender or age. Purely, how few people can you run the business with, depending on their skill sets, and to a certain degree, their personalities. Are they willing to be in alignment, or are they
Mm-hmm.
just going to complain about this?
Oh yeah.
And you need people that are capable to step up to the plate. Point number 2 in this is you don't want to do continuous layoffs.
Mm-hmm.
You want people to, if you have to do a layoff, you want to be careful that you do it, and that afterwards the people that are still with you see themselves as survivors, not the next victim. If you do layoffs, dribble them out a couple a week or over several days, people are going to be looking over their shoulder, wondering if they're the ones that are next.
That's a
But if
very
you have
important point. It's a
converted to
very
an
important
event,
point, Bob. I would like you to repeat it again. That's a very important point.
you 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 want people to see themselves as survivors. You need to make it an event so they feel good about themselves, that, hey, I kept my job, these other people got laid off, we're going to move forward. They're looking forward at that point. If you're managing your layoffs in little bits at a time, everybody else is wondering whether the next time they get called to your office, if it's them.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want that. You want them to be working on the things you want done.
Imagine the motivation level of the survivors,
Yes, yes,
and the confidence, the self-esteem that we are worthy enough, we are something, we can do it, we can really do it now.
right. It's also, once we're in a crisis like this, it may be a little late,
Uh-huh.
but speaks to the importance of cross-training people when you have a good employee, and in good times, you want to make sure they get cross-trained so that
Yeah.
they can do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't just mean going to a meeting and sitting through a presentation. Cross-training means lateral movements, lateral assignments. Maybe they work in human resources for
Mm-hmm.
6 months or a year, and then in accounting for 6 months or a year, or various departments in your business, so that they have a broader perspective, and you can use them when you are in a crisis. You can use them different ways.
Yeah. So, Bob, the thing is, behaviorally, I'm looking at the behavior, what could be running in the minds of both of these sides, the side that has been laid off and the side that is the survivor.
Yes.
So first of all, let's talk about the psyche of the people who have been laid off. Probably 1 in 100 would be a person with an attitude who would say, laying off is a part of life. The company could not afford my salary. They laid me off. That's fine. I'm still good friends with them.
Yes, you want to part on good terms. You want them to endorse you in the future, right?
Yeah.
And they understand there's an economic crisis, and it if you want to make it, you want you don't want to deny their unemployment. You don't want to you maybe if there's some long-term people, maybe you want to give them a bit of severance if you can. You, you certainly don't want to burn bridges with them. That's not going to help you in the long run.
Exactly. You never know, after the situation is better, they're going to hire you again.
Well, there's other ways to look at this too, right? I've been in situations where sometimes people were hourly paid employees, worked uh, uh, worked 32 hours, got paid for 36.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes everybody in management takes a 10% pay cut. Um, uh, so maybe, and maybe some people are willing to adapt to do their job on a part-time basis.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, there's no hard and fast rules here.
Mm-hmm.
There's opportunities to be creative with some of this,
Yeah.
but the principles are, some of the basic principles are, making sure first of all you're leading the company because you want it to survive. So do what's in the best interest of the company because that is the greater good.
Exactly. Exactly. And now, coming back to the two kinds of people who are fired, I'd said very rarely you will find a person who would be okay. That okay, I was laid off because of company could not afford that. So these are the minority of people who will still be happy, who will still have no problem with the company. But majority, they they will have resentments. They will have resentments. They will have negative feelings, and they may go on social media and they may write negative reviews about your company, about you, and they may find those things in you that you thought that nobody ever could ever find these things in my personality that has been written on social media today. They may accuse of being racially discriminating them. You may be accused of religiously discriminating them. You may be accused of different things, or you may also get a letter from a lawyer and you found out that you have been sued. So be ready for these kind of things. That's a leader is. The leader takes the right action for in the good interest of the company, as Bob said, that the leader is the one who takes right decisions at the right time, and he doesn't care about what people will say, what people will think, and how will they react. If they react negatively, that's not your problem, that's their problem.
Well,
Let them write negative reviews. Bob, what do you say about this?
if somebody you lay off wants to turn it into a dispute, uh, uh, your very best defense is to be able to say that you had a plan and it was based on uh, what was in the best interest of the company. That gives you a far more defensible position than you don't want to give. You don't want to make up reasons or mislead anyone. In this kind of thing, it's an economic thing, and you need to say no more than that. Everybody understands when times are tough. And people who get laid off have to worry about their own resume.
Mm-hmm.
And if let's say they're applying to their next job, and they're
Mm-hmm.
going to say, why did why did you leave that? If they say, they want to give a good answer to that question. And so the best answer is and the one they like as well, is that, well, the company fell on hard times, and a number of us lost our jobs. Most recruiters will uh, blow right past that. That's the answer you want to hear.
Yeah.
If you start saying, well, they didn't like me, so they laid me off, uh, that's a really bad answer for getting the next
Yeah.
job.
And the point is, Bob, should a leader, should an entrepreneur be scared of getting legal notice?
Um, no. That shouldn't keep you from doing the right thing.
Exactly.
That's far less painful than having losing the whole business.
Yeah. And as a businessman,
It's still not pleasant, right?
mm-hmm.
But in my experience, it's also not likely if you've done your layoffs the right way. If you're really unsure about the legal implications,
Mm-hmm.
there are labor attorneys that you can consult also. that would
Yes.
help you with this,
Yes.
and talk about the what the implications of various labor laws
Hmm.
are. You and you want to make sure that um, people get paid for everything they were owed at the time they left the
Hmm.
company. You're going to get in a lot of trouble if you try to withhold a payment or some pension money or something, or a bonus that they were due and had earned. You those things will get you a letter.
Yeah.
so so you need to do it the right way.
Let me tell you a real story about something that you have just said. It just occurred to me. One of a very good friends of mine, a very good statistician, he he was told to leave the company, but the way his boss did it, his boss met with him and he said, this is the situation. We cannot afford whatever the situation was, and we are giving you a month. So in a month, I think you will be able to find a job, and you stay with us for a month, and I really like you and admire you and this and this. And this employee, when he left this company, he always had wonderful things to say about that boss.
Yes,
So there is a way you treat people.
yes, yes, yes. You need to be humane about it. Um, that that uh, uh, I know of, uh, maybe not in crisis times. I know of a business where when people quit, um, they actually celebrate and they have a party for people who quit, and it's because it's because the owner of the business understands that
Mhm.
people advance in their careers and are ready for something else, and they may not have an opportunity inside the company.
Oh,
And
that's what you're talking about. I now get it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I
so
I totally
so
understand and totally relate
and
with that.
what he told me was that oftentimes they'll go take another job and find out that didn't work for them, and they'll
Yes.
come back. And
Yeah.
he's willing to have them come back, but he helps them manage their career
Oh, yeah.
rather than just solely being self-interested.
That's wonderful. I would say a wonderful attitude by the company. And now I understand what you're saying because I can relate with that. And I have seen companies doing it, that when a person is moving up the ladder of their career success, companies appreciate that and they celebrate in terms of his last day, and they pray for his success. And that's how you let people go.
Yes,
And another thing, just for all the viewers, don't get me wrong when I said that when a boss uh, lays somebody off, he should be nice. And if a boss is nice, the other person will behave well. No, it both ways. It's both ways. If you are a nice person, you will remember the other person nicely. You will not say bad things about you. Like the friend I mentioned, he had good things about the employer. He had good things to say about the employer because he himself is a good person.
right. Some people want letter of reference. Fine, give them a letter of reference. There's nothing
Exactly.
wrong with that.
Exactly.
It doesn't
So
cost you anything.
exactly. So it's for the employees. I'm talking to the employees directly now that if you have been laid off, just consider it as a part of life. It's natural to get laid off. Start looking for another job and don't ruin your relationship with those people, previous company. Don't hold grudges and just say, oh, it's a part of life. And I understand. Probably I would do the same thing if I were running the company. So that's totally understandable.
There was this is a number of years ago, but I remember working in a situation. It was a bigger corporation, and we had a division that employed 110 people, and we made the decision to shut the division down. So there were 110 people who got laid off, and I kept a little scorecard and on what happened to those people. And I can tell you that not a single person went past their severance before they got another job, and every single person got a pay raise in their next job. The layoff never hurt. And so if you're one that's getting laid off, don't try to come back to equal. Don't try to find your same job again. Think up. Think up.
Exactly. You have grown. You have learned
You
something. You
use
have
this
grown.
as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Use this as an opportunity. You're going to have time, and you're going to have a little bit of financial support. You can get unemployment benefits. Find a promotion. Don't try to find equal, or don't think down that you're going to take a lesser job. Think up.
Yes. So Bob, now, and I have a question. With the perspective of a CEO, an employer, what if you laid off a wrong person? What if your decision was wrong?
Everybody makes mistakes. You can't. You can't be it. Don't beat yourself up over it. You can't. You can't. How do I want to say it? You can't bat 1,000%. You can't always be right.
So don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely not. No. And it gets down to also. I don't think you should dwell on it. Was it a big mistake or a little mistake? Chances are, if you laid the wrong person in the bigger picture, it's not that big a mistake.
And now coming to another question, my question that I asked in the middle, if you remember, the question was that if 30% of the employees are laid off, the remaining 70% who remain, their workload will go up. How can we motivate them?
Well, I'm not exactly going to agree that their workload is going to go up. Their responsibilities might broaden, but if you've laid off 30% of your employees, you likely have something like a 30% reduction in your revenues. So there are, all things together, there is less work to do. Now, certainly some jobs, right, are the same no matter the size of your business. I understand that, but if you have 30% less revenue to your business, and jobs can be consolidated. Yeah. And maybe 3 jobs can go into 2 or 4 jobs into 3. You can look for opportunities like that.
Yeah. I think that is a very valid point, because that you laid people off in the first place because you have less business.
Yes. Now, it may be true that yes, they have more things to do in terms of the breadth of what they have to do, but not necessarily in terms of the volume.
Yeah.
Things they have to do.
Yeah. And now let's say really there is still some extra workload because the company probably fired more people than they were supposed to. Like the company laid off more people than they were supposed to. Now the workload is a little more. So I will go back to what you said initially, Bob, that will motivate them. The survivor mentality will motivate them to take extra responsibility and extra job.
Well, right. You know, if you it's the 80-20 rule here, right? If you laid off the 20 least capable people in your business, you probably still have 90-95% aggregate capability in your business.
Who were already taking care of the company more than the others before.
Yeah. Just because the head count was reduced by 20% doesn't mean that the capability of the business was reduced by 20%.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely.
Because the high performers do more for you than the low performers.
Absolutely. And as I said, what if you made a wrong decision of firing a wrong person?
Well, first of all, how do you know it was wrong? This is why leaders get paid the big bucks. It's a judgment call. It's a judgment decision. Yeah. You don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have to take that risk. You have to take that risk.
You won't have perfect information.
Yeah.
But you have to decide without you have to make decisions here,
Bob, the
and
reason I'm saying that is I have seen CEOs making the decision of firing other employees who were way better workers than the boss pleaser. And the boss pleaser fills the ears of the boss that he's not working well. And then the hardworking person is fired.
well, you have to. There's going to be a lot. There's different people have different
We lost your
personalities,
voice.
and there are going to be
We
some
lost
people.
your voice. We lost your voice. Please repeat
Oh,
again.
I'm sorry. There are different people with different personalities, and you're going to have people who really see this. They'll become I'll call it politically active in the business and arguing for themselves or for their department, or I should keep people in my department, but that person, my friend over here, they should lay off people in their department. Oh, why did I have to lay off my person when they didn't have to lay off that person?
Mhm.
Get out of here.
Yeah, yeah,
you know, it, the, there will be expect some, if you have a bigger team especially, expect some heated arguments. That's okay. That's healthy. You slug it out.
yeah,
That's how you make the right decision.
yeah. And for those victims who really became victim of this kind of politics, I have good thing to tell you. I have a good news for all of you that uh, you have a better opportunity coming your way.
Yes. Yes.
So that's it for today, guys. And it was a wonderful session, very, very valuable session. And I personally enjoyed it a lot. And I myself felt very motivated. And I learned a lot of things today from you, Bob. Thank you for sharing your
Well,
experience. And
thank you, and I really enjoyed this too. And I think these are great discussions.
anyone who has any questions, please do comment below. And we will definitely get back to you in the next episode and we will answer your question when we discuss the next topic. So we will remember you. So don't forget to leave a message and your comments about improvement, how we can make this show better, and what other topics do you want us to cover. We discussed the boss perspective and a little bit of employee perspective, but if you want to uh, see an episode where we change the perspective to totally employee perspective, then we will do that. So that's why we need your suggestions. Bob, are you willing to do an employee
I
perspective?
don't ask me anything.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Thanks a lot. It was wonderful to have you. And thank you, guys. It was wonderful to have you with us. And see you in the next episode with the show, Hassaan and Bob. Thank you. And we will meet you again. Thank you.
Thank you.